Max Verstappen has once again received a new engine from Red Bull Racing. It is his fourth of the season, and consequently the final alteration he can make without incurring a grid penalty from the FIA. Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly will all race in the Spanish Grand Prix with new power units. Furthermore, Verstappen and teammate Sergio Perez have received a new gearbox. So have George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen drove with a new engine at the previous Formula One race in Canada, but due to technical issues during the second free practice, Red Bull was obliged to return to the old power unit. While Honda investigates the engine's problem in Japan, Verstappen will drive his fourth power unit of the year in Barcelona. It is unclear whether Canada's engine will be able to be used following repairs. Meanwhile, the Dutchman has already used the maximum number of engines allowed throughout the season. Another change to a new engine, previously used engines can be utilized indefinitely, will result in a grid penalty. Red Bull and Ferrari are the first teams to announce changes in Spain, including a side pod adjustment on the RB20, with the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya poised to test the rivals thoroughly. Red Bull has faced stiffer competition from Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes in recent rounds, but all eyes are now on the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, which is regarded as one of the most comprehensive tests of Formula One machinery, and thus a good indicator of the overall pecking order. Max Verstappen returned to winning ways at the wheel of the Red Bull RB20 in Canada, defeating McLaren's Lando Norris and Mercedes' George Russell. But with curb issues highlighted as the cause of their absence from recent rounds, rivals are looking to Barcelona as a true test of their progression. The FIA has finally announced the list of grid upgrades for the Spanish Grand Prix, with Red Bull changing their side pod inlet geometry in a circuit-specific move for greater cooling efficiency, while adjusting the engine cover side panels and floor to accommodate the alterations. Red Bull has also announced a pair of performance enhancements, including revisions to the rear wing end plate and beam wing. In a bid to exploit available air pressure, the beam wing span has been increased to meet a new end plate, offering more local load. This has been accomplished by extruding the beam wing parts into this variant end plate form, with the bottom third shifted outboard. While Ferrari has revealed a larger downforce rear wing designed expressly for Barcelona, they have also announced a slew of other performance-focused changes. These include a larger side pod coke undercut, a redesigned diffuser, and changes to the floor body, fences, and edge to improve airflow. Changing the side pod improves flow quality over the floor edge and towards the back of the car, or, benefiting from tidier upstream flow structures, the diffuser expansion, together with boat and keel volumes optimization, has allowed to extract more local load gains. Ferrari has updated the halo trailing edge in another step at improving the management of the losses traveling downstream, following initial adjustments for Imola. Aston Martin has changed the front suspension and corner geometry, stating that the update to the front corner geometry improves the local interactions between the suspension fairings and the external duct to improve local load. Meanwhile, at the back of the AMR24, a revised position of the lower deflector in combination with the changes to the lower edge offer increased load on the device and surrounding areas. In a circuit-specific move, RB has returned to the front brake cooling duct used in Monaco, but with an eye on performance, has validated improvements to the side pod inlet, engine cover, floor, beam wing, and rear wing to increase airflow quality and consequently floor and rear wing performance. Meanwhile, RB hopes to increase efficient load generation on the rear wing and aim for a drag level of interest at this and future events. Sauber has changed the rear wing's redesigned pylon, main plane and flap with detached outboard tips, describing how, together with the previously introduced monopylon, the updated rear wing is linked to the new generation of rear wings and is characterized by a new version of flap, improving the aerodynamic efficiency of the car. The exit ducts of the front brake ducts have also been changed to improve aerodynamic flow and offer the necessary cooling for the Spanish Grand Prix. Haas completed the list of upgrades by modifying the rear impact structure with a small winglet on the trailing edge, which increases the local upwash, resulting in a marginal load increase. Mika Hakkinen, a two-time Formula One world champion, feels Red Bull will not win the Spanish Grand Prix. The two-time world champion believes that the team requires both Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez up front to keep the tough opposition at bay. If not, other teams will capitalize on their mistakes. Red Bull has had a couple of tough F1 weekends. Verstappen won in Canada, followed closely by Lando Norris. Aside from McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes have also moved closer. According to Häkkinen, Verstappen's victory demonstrated his confidence in himself, the car and the team. Even when they have a weekend of extremely challenging conditions and close competition, there was nothing easy about that win, the former McLaren driver wrote in his column for Unibet. On a difficult weekend for teammate Checo Perez, Max still delivered the victory for Red Bull, and it's hard not to predict another success for him in Barcelona on Sunday. He has won here for the last 2 years, and we should remember that this is also where he took his first ever Formula One win back in 2016, becoming the youngest winner in F1 history, the Finn continued. However, Häkkinen stresses that Red Bull needs both cars at the front of the grid to keep the competition behind it, including in Spain. The danger for Red Bull remains the consistency and strength of the driver lineups at Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes. The world champions need both cars running at the front, said Häkkinen. The competition is so strong that Red Bull do not need to be relying only on Max to deliver the win, otherwise they run the risk of one of their rivals being able to run more optimized two-car race strategies to challenge for the win, concluded the F1 legend. Sergio Perez has been encouraged by team manager Christian Horner to turn up in Barcelona since Red Bull requires both drivers to score high points. Although it appeared after the first 5 rounds of this year's championship that Red Bull's competitors would suffer another defeat, the season took a dramatic turn in Miami. That Sunday, Lando Norris overcame Max Verstappen on merit in a straight fight after a safety car, with the results since reading McLaren Verstappen Ferrari. Perez, on the other hand, failed not finish on the podium in any of the 4 races and crashed out of the last 2, Monaco and Montreal, where he began from 16th place on the grid. This extended his stretch of qualifying sessions outside the top 10 to 3, putting pressure on Verstappen to earn significant points for a team suddenly in title contention. Red Bull team boss Horner has told his Mexican driver that he must bounce back at the Spanish Grand Prix. If not, he may be replaced by one of Red Bull's drivers, who all have similar contracts. Checo just needs to forget Canada 2024 and turn up in Barcelona and bounce back, stated the Englishman. We know that he's very capable of doing that, and I'm sure he'll come back fighting hard in Barcelona. We were lucky that Ferrari didn't score any points. They could have taken a lot of points out of us in the constructors, so we need him up there scoring as he was in the first 4 races. I think it was a combination of factors, Horner said of his driver's troubles. We had an issue in qualifying that contributed a little to it, and plenty for him and the team to look at to get him back into that window as we head back to Europe. I think he obviously struggles with when the car isn't behaving well. He struggles more to adapt. It perhaps takes him longer, and not having the running on Friday in Canada, you end up on the back foot. So I think that's something we're looking at collectively with him to say, okay, let's come back strong in Barcelona. What do you think? Did Red Bull made a mistake by signing Perez for another 2 years? And what about their car? Is it still the rocket it was last year? Let us know in the comments down below.